Hello once again, and we have a very special studio guest, Neels Terblanche, who's currently based in Oudtshoorn. And welcome, Neels.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. And for those of you who don't know, Neels is preparing for what is going to be a very, very unique voyage. It's going to be the first global circumnavigation in a pedal boat, not a paddle boat, a pedal boat. And we're looking at a distance, I think, of about 45,000.
Yeah, that's correct, Jeff. Yeah, 45,000 kilometers. Give and take. It depends. Yeah.
Neels, before we get on to that, I'm just curious. Tell us briefly about your background. You've obviously always been attracted to adventure. Your early years.
Yes, Jeff. I was born in Oudtshoorn, and at the age of 3, I by mistake drank paraffin out at my uncle's farm, and my folks had to rush to hospital, so I nearly passed away. I nearly died. I was blue when I got to the hospital and stuff like that. So life has thrown me a lifeline, and since then, growing up in Oudtshoorn, I was always someone for the outdoors. My mum's from the farm, so for her it was going to the farm on weekends, going on work on the farm on holidays, that kind of stuff. But way back in the 70s, when we as kids were still if you can call it, locked up in the rooms on a Sunday afternoon. Way back then, in the centerfold of the report had a piece of a map of the world, and my dad collected all of that, and he's put it on a big piece of ceiling board and against the wall. So I would sit on my bed, very bored, on a Sunday afternoon at 40 degrees Celsius in Oudtshoorn, no swimming pool back then, and I would throw a dart into the board, see where it lands, and just learn everything about that country, that ocean, that mountain range. So needless to say, geography was one of my top subjects in school, and just loved the outdoors, and know where I am. Could navigate very well. Even when I was in the army, the guys would always follow me because I'm the guy who would find the beacons where we had to go to, even during the night, on the night marches and stuff like that. So my dad never went further away than 60 kilometers from home on holiday, so that he can drive back and go check up everything. And that was like caged in. So when I had the chance, and after school, I just broke out, broke those boundaries and those fences, and would just go and explore. So there's hardly any place in our country that I haven't been. And when I was in the corporate industry, which is very boring, I was in the financial industry. So I would give my clients targets, the brokers or the financial advisors. I would give them targets, and I would hang, with those days you could do that, and I would hang a lucrative banana in front of their faces. And the motto was always, I will take you somewhere where you've never been before, and you will never ever go by yourself. And I would take them into Africa, into these remote places, and just spend time with them. And so I just I created 8 holidays a year for myself, by giving certain groups different goals to achieve. And once they achieved them, I would then take them away. So
Super. And now this voyage, we're looking about 107, 108 days from now. You're going to hoping to be getting underway from Cape Town, but tell us, how did that come about? Just to throw in a few well-known adventurers have sort of mentioned in the past that the important thing is to have a why when you're doing something like this. But tell us, how did this idea come about?
Yeah, so about 8 years ago, there was a guy named Davy du Plessis. I don't know if you remember him. He kayaked the Amazon and was shot in the face with a shotgun, and he was left for dead. And then he recovered from that, and he came back to South Africa, and then he decided to do a trip like this with his mum, because his mum managed to get him out of the Amazon then. So to do a trip, and he built this boat. So this boat is a Dudley Dix design. It's a one design. So there's no other boat like this in the world. And they wanted to go across to Rio.
Yes.
Was the mission. But they never, so they got out to sea, but they got rescued because of very rough seas by NSRI. And then I got notice of the boat that was standing in Knysna, and I went to have a look at it. I made Davey an offer. He wanted a huge price tag, and decided, okay, now I'll give it some time. Maybe he wants to carry on, do it or not. And I waited a couple of years. Phoned Tertius, his uncle who built the boat, said, is the boat still available? Yeah, the boat's still there. I said, okay. So I went back to Davey, made him another offer. The price was still too steep. And eventually we came to an agreement. But I was planning this because I worked in Africa. I worked in all the countries in Africa. So I was always dreaming of going around Africa. Kingsley Horga did it in Land Rovers. Rian Manser did it on his bicycle. Probably lots of people sailed it, but no one has ever done it in a pedal boat.
Right.
So the idea came one night. I was watching Curiosity Channel about guys who went around the world in jet skis. And that night, once I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning when I watched that program. It's called Dangerous Waters. And I just decided that this is, it's now the time to do it. The next day I started making plans, quit the job, came down here. I was in Joburg then, came down here, spoke to Dave. He said, listen, this is it. There's my offer. You keen on it, happy? And eventually decided yes. So, and then everything went from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the craft itself. It's obviously, as you said, Dudley Dix Design, who's a very well-known name in sailing circles.
Correct.
But it's a pedal boat, which makes it unique. But just tell us a little about the craft itself.
So it's built out of marine ply. It's 9mm marine ply at the bottom and 6mm marine ply. So it's very thin. And the reason why the ply is because it once it gets damaged or it sinks, it will never go to the bottom of the ocean. At least it will float. So it's kind of a like a life raft, and there's some ballast in it to keep it afloat and stuff like that. And it's recycled marine ply. So 70% is recycled wood, and only 30% is real wood. And then it's sprayed with a epoxy. And it's a plant-based epoxy and not a chemical-based epoxy. Okay. So it's very ocean-friendly, and it's all the green stuff that's in there, which is great. But it's 7 meters long by 1.8 meters, and you pedal it like a bicycle. So first of all, the design was to have a chain and sprocket and kind of stuff. So that's now eliminated. And a company in Denver, Colorado, RX Fabrication, they manufactured a state-of-the-art pedal system, which is quiet, runs smoothly. I can just change gears while I'm on the water. I don't have change chains and stuff like that, which is a lot of wear and tear on chains. Okay. So now it's a gear and sprocket system, which works perfectly, and there's what they call a moonwell inside the boat, so you can just drop it into the moonwell and then take it out if I need to. I don't have to jump off the boat. Okay. Fix a propeller. The only time I'll jump off is either to clean the hull, barnacles that gets attached to it, or when there's I hook a line or something, or a fishing net in the propeller system.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about your route. I know you're planning on starting in Cape Town, and there are certain areas where there was a fair amount of turmoil with piracy, etc., etc. You obviously have to take cognizance of all of that.
Yeah. So as I said, so the planned route was to go around Africa. I've got a very big passion for Africa, but because of the Suez Canal and the war in the Middle East, and the security company in Djibouti that notified me and said, listen, don't. Because Yemen is now an issue in Somalia, and that stretch between the two of them is very narrow, and I'm a sitting duck, and it depends on which flag I fly when I go through there. and they can protect me up to a certain point, because I said, well, I'll go incognito, switch everything off, the AIS, and they said, well, then we don't know where you are. So it's a bit of a gamble, and they can protect me to a certain point, but after that, because one of the places that Aden was a place that I would actually resupply, and Socotra, which is an island just north of Africa, north of Somalia, and that was another supply point before I do a huge stretch around the Horn of Africa to the Comores and the Seychelles. And but they said, no, look, rather not. You're going to be a sitting duck. You know, you've got no engine.
Yeah.
You're pedaling, and you're slow, and you know, and yeah, they might just, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
With Africa, so I had to decide to change the route around the world rather than just around Africa. It's not much of a difference, about 10,000 nautical miles.
Yeah.
So Africa is quite a huge continent if you work it out like that.
Yes.
You know, if you look at distances. So the plan is to leave in Cape Town. Hopefully, I can leave the same time as the International Boat Show.
Yeah.
I'm still in negotiations with them and see if it's possible, but also weather permitting, and also. And when I say weather permitting, in our winter months we have a strong northwesterly that's blowing, because my first leg is from Cape Town to St Helena Island, which is about 3,000 kilometers, that will then be against the wind. So I need to wait for the seasons to change so I can follow the wind. Although we have the cold Benguela current, the problem is to get up to St Helena.
Sure.
So I need favorable winds and favorable currents to.
Okay.
Yeah, because the big issue is to get off the continental shelf, because your waves are usually higher, the coastal currents or the tidal currents are strong. So you need to get off the continent. So I need a weather window where I can get straight west off the shelf and then go north.
All right.
Yeah.
And of course, the northwest are also well known in Table Bay. It causes a huge swell to start running in the bay.
Correct.
Very, very bad sea state. So
Correct.
that's all going to play a role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll have the waves on the beam, which is not comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of rocking and roll.
Niels, I think we're definitely going to be staying in touch with you as we get closer to the departure date. We'll be keeping our viewers and our readers informed. c-batical.co.za. That's still the email address?
Yeah.
So it's c-batical.co.za, and and we're going to have, you can see below, we've got the address, and also if you'd like to share, if there's any other details you'd like to share.
Yeah, it's so just to the route is St Helena, then Ascension Island, then across over to South America, then Barbados, Aruba, through the Panama, across the Pacific, which is the longest stretch of 8,000 kilometers to Australia, then around Australia, and then Indian Ocean, and then back to South Africa. So that's the route. But so it's a journey of between 2.5 and 3 years that's going to take. And if there's any companies out there that would like to get involved, they're welcome to. It's great exposure nationally and international exposure, because obviously you will have radio, newspapers, and television to every port that I go to. So if there's anyone that they can get in contact with me or go to the website and make contact, and we can discuss how they can benefit from, but because I've got 4 charities that I'm running with this, so they can get involved in that, and that's for good cause. So it's not about my journey, it's more about helping other people in it, like Operation Smile and Mission 5 Million, malnourished children. Vusi Maranene is a great friend of mine who is a paraplegic who to fulfill his dream to go to the 2028 Olympics as a paracyclist. So there's a lot of things to get involved in, and it doesn't have to be a big sponsor. It can be equipment. There's lots of things on a journey like this what you actually need, because you're going to live in a very confined space for 3 years.
Yeah.
everything helps, and yeah, so there's lots of things to think of.
There we have it. That's Neels Terblanche getting ready for that, what is going to be a really epic voyage. That's going to make the Cape Town cycle tour seem like something fairly low-key. But I'm going to make a plan to get down to Oudtshoorn at some stage soon, and to get some visuals of the boat, and we'll go and chat to Neil so we can bring back some footage of the boat. And as I said, we'll be keeping you updated with Neil's journey and his preparations, his build-up as we get nearer to that departure date, hopefully from the International Boat Show in Cape Town. That's it for today. Have yourselves a great week. Cheers for now.
Thank you.